guys, so we're gonna start standing in our mats. Let me lower the music. I know you guys again can hear it, but it's loud. Let's go ahead and start standing with your feet hip width apart. So your middle toe, your knees, and your hips are, your hip bones, your iliac bones are aligned. Lengthen the spine and then roll the shoulders behind. So the right one goes first, the left one goes next, and go ahead and hug your elbows. We're gonna remain tall, lengthen the spine, keep the chest open, and make sure that your weight is evenly distributed between your big toes, your little toes, and right below the big toe, right below the little toe, and your heart is open, and your eyes are open, and we're gonna begin to bring attention to the inhales. So as we inhale, you're grounding and getting a little bit taller. So we're lifting up towards the sky. And make sure that with every inhale, you feel a little bit lighter. You feel a little bit more expansion on your heart. And you feel a little bit more space within you. And as we exhale, begin to feel a little bit more grounded and present. So present on the feelings and the sensations that you have in your body. And then get a little bit taller, so engage the top front of your legs. And get a little bit taller and lift the toes off your mat. So my toes are off the mat and my balance, my weight is in the mount of the feet and on my heel. So if I go too much to my heel, I will feel that I'm falling back. And if I go too much forward, my toes will touch the mat and I don't want them to touch the mat. So you wanna keep them off the mat. From here, keep the toes lifted. Bring the right arm up to the sky and gaze up. Begin to softly release the toes to the mat, but make sure you don't drop weight to the toes. Begin to inhale and then begin to reach to your left. And as we're reaching, make sure you're not pushing the hips out to the sides. You're stretching from the waist out to the side. And come back to center. One more time, inhale and lift. And then exhale. Again, don't push the hips. You're keeping the hips steady and stretch out. Coming back to center, release that arm behind you. And we bring the left one up. Lengthen again, keeping the hips steady. Begin to reach towards the right. And come back to center, get a little bit taller and reach to right. And come back to center, release, and both arms are next to your body. Long fingers reaching towards your toes. Again, you're touching the mat, but your weight is not on the toes and you're not completely on your heels. So find that perfect balance. Inhale, reach the arms up. Interlace the fingers and your index fingers are pointing up to the sky. Your gaze is towards your thumbs and you begin to reach a little bit more, bringing the elbows towards each other in front of you. And from here, keeping the right foot grounded, begin to lift the left one off the floor. And find that steadiness on the supported leg and gently come back to the floor, lift and lengthen. And then I switch the weight to my left so I can bring my right leg up. And I come back to center and my feet are together. My hands come to heart center. Close your eyes. Take a full breath, expanding and creating space within you. And exhale, Any negative aspect of your day. Again, in through the nose. And exhale everything that you no longer need. Opening the eyes, we start with Surya Namaskar A. Inhale and reach, lengthen the spine, and exhale into your forward fold. Halfway up and lengthen. A step back into our high plank. Lower to Chaturanga. Open up into an upward dog. And roll back into your downward dog. Finding a long extension on your arms first. Begin to pull your bandhas into action. And begin to push the sit bones a little bit farther back. And begin to feel your shoulders away from your ears. Looking forward, a step to the front of the mat and lengthen the spine. And release into a forward fold. Begin to reach up, inhale in, lift. Hands to heart center, exhaling. Inhale, reach the arms up again. And exhale into a forward fold. Halfway up, inhale, and a step back into your Chaturanga. Up dog or cobra. Back into our downward dog. Fingers away from each other. Pressing firmly into the mat. The same thing with your feet. The heels and the ball, the mount of your feet are pressing the mat. The toes are softly touching. A step forward and release. All the way up, inhale in, reach. And hands to heart center, exhale. Surya Namaskar B. Inhale, bend the knees, lift the arms up, look up. And exhale into a forward fold. Halfway up, inhale in. A step back into your Chaturanga. Knees, chest, and chin to the floor or Chaturanga. Up dog or cobra, shoulders back. And back into your down dog. Right foot comes forward. Left heel in. Bending the right knee up into your warrior one. Press the palms on the floor. A step back into Chaturanga or modified. Up dog or cobra. Back into our downward dog. A step, the left foot forward, right heel in, and lift the chest up, palms pressing, and hands on the mat. A step back into Chaturanga, up dog or cobra, back into our down dog. We're holding our downward dog for 5 full breaths. Keeping the engagement on your bandhas. Make the engagement of Uddiyana Bandha help you in pulling the sit bones a little bit farther back. Let Uddiyana Bandha expand the chest and allow you to lift a little bit more the sit bones to the sky. Gazing forward, walk or jump to the front of the mat. Lengthen the spine and release into a forward fold. Halfway up, inhaling. Bending the knees, lift the arms up. We go back to Utkatasana. Extending the legs, hands to heart center. Take a big step out to the long side of your mat. Bring the hands to the hips and shoulders roll back. Right foot to the right, left toes slightly in. Inhale and open into a warrior two. Gazing towards your right finger. Right knee towards the little middle toe. And allow the hip joint to give you a little bit more of that release by grounding the left leg. Bringing the elbow to the right knee, bring the left arm behind. Open the chest and look up. Full breaths in and out through the nose. Full engagement on the legs. And go ahead and keep the knee bent and bring that left arm in front of you and rotate into a lizard pose. The back leg is off the mat and begin to push the heel behind you. Full breaths in and out through the nose. We're gonna open back into a warrior two. So I rotate first my back foot to ground and I lift the torso up. Extend the right leg, right toes in, left toes out, bend the knee, and we go to our warrior two to the left. The right leg is completely active. Push that left knee a little bit more towards the little toe so your knees are expanding away from each other, not coming to the midline. Elbow releases onto the knee, arm rolls back and binds behind or opens, look up. Keep the right leg active, pressing the 5 toes into the mat and the inner edge of your foot as well as the outer edge. The right arm lifts. I rotate the chest and I bring the hands on the inside of the mat, on the inside of the foot to go into my lizard pose. Push the back heel. Don't let the hips too high, don't let the hips drop to the floor. And we go back to warrior two. So rotate the back foot, lift up into your warrior two, and extend the left leg. Rotate the 10 toes to the long side of your mat and bring the hands to the hips. Roll the shoulders back, right toes out, left toes slightly in. Inhale, open into warrior two. Find the length on the back leg and arms. Gaze beyond your right fingertips. We're transferring to warrior two. So I rotate the hips and chest and lift the arms up to the sky. If you need to readjust your back foot, go ahead and do so. Make sure that there's no pain within any movement. Bring the hands to heart center and extend the arms forward into a humble warrior, reaching forward. Make sure as you're reaching, you're grounding the back foot so it's not off the floor. And open into your warrior two as you extend the right leg. Rotate the right toes in, the left toes out, warrior two to your left. Open that knee, don't let the knee come to the midline. It's pressing away from your center. It's pointing to the short side of your mat, right in the middle if possible. Warrior one, hips and chest rotates, arms go up to the sky. Extend the back leg a little bit more and bend the left knee a tiny bit more. Then that right hip, push it a little bit forward to point a little bit more towards the left knee. Chest to the knee, extend the arms forward into your humble warrior. Back leg is extended, back foot is flat on the floor. Full breaths. Full breaths. Grounding, we go back into our warrior two. Opening and extend the legs. Bring the hands to the hips and a step to the front of your mat. Front of the mat, legs open, hip width apart. Roll the shoulders, hands on your hips, and exhale with a long spine down towards the floor. Touching your big toes with your index and middle finger. Shift the weight towards the toes. Bend the elbows slightly back towards the side of your knees. And allow the crown of the head to reach a little bit lower. As you're pushing the elbows towards the side of your knees, the shoulders come away from your ears. Halfway up, inhale. Bring the hands either underneath your feet or on the outside of your feet flat. And lengthen the spine and release into a deeper forward fold. Make sure that your palms are still facing up. If you're underneath your feet, their toes are touching the crease of the wrist. And looking up, hands on the hips and come halfway up and hold. Bend the right knee, bring the right hand in between your legs and open to your left. You're welcome to stay on this rotation or go ahead and bind behind so we can begin to go into Svarga Divyasana or Birth of Paradise. So if you're binding, shift the weight to your supported leg. So the right leg, not the right leg, sorry, the left leg. And begin to lift with control. Keep the breath in sync as you're moving. Don't rush the movement. Take your time, it's an inhale. And you're grounding. As you're ready, you begin to gently land and release the bind and the arm opens again. And you're looking up. Extend the right leg, bring the right hand to your hip, bend the left knee, open first the chest and then reach the arm up. Begin to gently find balance. If you're binding, begin to bind. And be mindful. You're moving with an inhale. You're moving with a specific drishti, so your gaze is at a specific point. Don't rush the movement. Don't rush the movement. Don't ask more of what the other side was capable of doing. The body's different. Gently, if you're ready, begin to bend and land. The knee remains, release the bind, open to the sky. And come back into a forward fold, both hands towards the floor. Hug the elbows and swing the upper body from right to left. Coming back to center, release and begin to roll slowly up. Last thing up is the head. Bring the feet together. Switching the weight to your left leg. Cross the right leg into a half lotus and catch your foot with your left hand. Right arm rotates and I'm binding the left elbow to bind behind. Chest is open, I'm gonna bend the left knee to bring the chest towards the right leg. I always stop to check if it's my right or my left. So you're micro bending, your chest is resting on top of that right leg. Keep the knee open, don't push the knee slightly back. And then go ahead and lift with control and release that leg. Shifting the weight to your right leg. The left leg crosses, hold it and bind behind. Open the chest, bend the knee, and that brings you chest down. Full breaths in and out through your nose. Open that knee a little bit more. Control the movement. Begin to come up and release, walking the feet. Shifting the weight again into your left. Bring the right knee up to the sky, to your chest, not to the sky. And from here, catch the knee. Bring the right arm up and hold. You want to maintain the steadiness on your left leg as you reach the right knee a little bit higher. Release it, release the arm, switch the weight, and I catch the left and my right arm is up, and you're maintaining the stability here. Getting a little bit taller. And release leg and arm. Switch again. Bring the right knee up and catch it with your left hand. Begin to pull the knee towards the midline so you're rotating to the right. And begin to come back to center, release the leg and switch the weight. So now you're on your right, left knee is up, right hand catches and rotate to the left, keeping the gaze in a specific point, your knee going a little bit more to the midline, and release back to center. Tree pose, shifting the weight to your left, right foot somewhere on your leg. It can be right on the bottom, below the knee, or above the knee, just make sure that not on the knee. Hands to heart center and begin to inhale the arms up overhead, and your gaze is gonna go up. Last breath in here. As you bring the hands to heart center and go ahead and release. Shifting the weight, we come to our tree pose again. Into our left side, find the positioning of your left foot, not on your knee. Arms up, inhale, gaze up, or keep gazing forward, whatever is more convenient for you today. And release to heart center, and release, shifting the weight back. Last balance pose, shifting. Bring the knee into your chest, and then catch the inside, not the inside, the outside of your foot, extending the leg. Ooh. Find the easiness on the breath and find your focal point. Lengthen the spine, open the chest, bending the knee, release, and shift the weight to the other side. Leg comes up, catch the foot, extend the leg, and find the balance here. Again, keep that length Oops. And releasing, bending, coming down. Both feet on the floor, arms up to the sky, inhale. Exhale into your forward fold. Halfway up, inhaling. Step back into a tabletop position. Extend the right leg behind. Begin to push the heel behind you to stretch the leg from the balance pose as we did. Come back to center so your knees are right on top of the hips, and cross that leg behind you and look towards your left to find your right toes. And come back to center and bend that knee and extend the other leg, the left one. And then the heel begins to push back. Again, you're stretching, counterposing the extra strength and stretch you did on the standing balance. And back the hips to center, and then cross it behind, and then look to your toes over the right shoulder. And back to your tabletop. Crossing the legs, roll back, and find a sitting position. From your sitting position, find length on the spine. Bring the knees closer to your chest and catch the big toes. From the big toes, lift the feet off the mat and extend the legs in front of you. So imagine that you're doing an Navasana with your feet supported. Pull the chest a little bit closer to the legs. Find a little bit more length. And see if you can maintain everything the way it is, but with your arms next to your body, next to your legs, into a full Navasana. And lower the knees and sit up nice and tall. Cross the legs in a comfortable seated position. Lengthen the spine. Push into your left, into your right knee, then rotate to your right. So you're pushing the knee down towards the mat. And come back to center. Left arm back, right hand pushes the knee down, and you twist. So more than the twist is the release of the hip joint. And come back to center. Bending, keeping the left knee bent. Go ahead and catch the right foot with both hands. Extend the leg, the same we did standing, and stay nice and tall here. Full breath. Make sure that your chest keeps reaching towards the front, and the leg remains long on the front and on the back of the leg. Bend that right knee. Bring the right hand underneath the right foot. So now you're pushing the foot down to press your hand down and twist again. This time you're twisting, stretching the low back on your left. So that's the point where you should bring the awareness. And come back to center. We're gonna keep the right knee bent and bend the left, catch the foot, and extend and lift that leg up. Again, you wanna bring that awareness that your chest is reaching forward and your leg is long, so the knee is trying to go that way. And bend the knee, keeping the knee bent. Bring the hand underneath your foot and lift up. So that's going to support and maintain my shoulder in place, so it's not reaching up. And then I twist. And the twist is completely different because you're also feeling the stretch and the stability on the left side to not move. Then come back to center and release, and we roll forward into a tabletop position. Pressing on our tabletop position, we're going to bring the right foot in front, pressing firmly, lifting the torso up. Left arm reaches up and begin to reach behind. Come back up towards the sky. And again, inhale, reach behind. And come back up to the sky. Bring that left hand on the outside of your right knee and twist back. Again, you're twisting, feeling that same movement when your shoulder was not the one moving you at your waist. Center. Extend that right leg forward. Reach the fingertips towards the foot and begin to drop by bending the elbows. So elbows bent so you can come down towards the left. So bring the hands as close to the front of your mat as possible. So walk the hands a little bit more. And then from there, bend the elbows, even if it's a small bend, and then you need to come back up, and then another bend, and come up, so you feel that deeper stretch. Bend the elbows a little bit more, and lift up. Bring that leg back into the knees, and bring the left leg forward. Nice and grounded. Inhale, reach the arm, and begin to reach behind with awareness that your bandas are supporting you, and this leg, it's active by pushing the knee down towards the floor, towards my heel. Back to the sky, inhale, and begin to reach behind. And up to the sky. And I cross over, rotating from the waist, grounding that left foot firmly down. And come back to center. Fingertips, extend the leg in front. And then walk the hands forward. Keep the leg extended, and then bend the elbows to drop the chest towards the leg. Flex the toes, point them up a little bit more so you have a little bit of that deeper stretch. Sit bones are even. And do a last more bend, so maybe bend a tiny bit more. And then lift up. We come back into a tabletop position. Press the hands right below the shoulders. Inhale, open the chest, look up, and exhale, round and stay rounded. Find your bandhas, find the breath. Keeping the bandhas engaged, come to a neutral spine, and then lower the forearms down to the mat. Lift the knees off the floor and hold it here. So this is a step one. You can stay here or walk the knees a little bit closer to your chest and then extend and reach back. The chest is proud and open. The crown of the head is not on the floor, but it's pointing to the floor. And breathe, breathe, breathe. And walk the legs back, lower the knees the way we started, and back into our tabletop position. From your tabletop position, walk the hands forward at shoulder width apart. Drop the chest, drop the forehead. Find the awareness on each breath and find a little bit more of that chest, heart center dropping towards your mat. And come back up and walk the hands behind and cross the legs. Sit back with long legs in front of you. The legs are gonna separate hip width apart. So you have about a fist or two of space in between your legs and your knees. From here, bend the knees. And again, so you have your hand of space in between and my space in between. From here, when I lift up, you wanna maintain that imagine of your knees pressing against your feet so the knees are not splitting open. So I keep my knees, my fist apart, and I'm gonna lower to my elbows. Then walk the heels closer to your buttocks and press the heels down so your foot is firmly flat. From here, again, my knees are that space apart, so I'm not losing, like splitting open. From here, I'm gonna push the heels down and I'm gonna lift the knees up, not the knees, the hips. So I'm just checking that I don't open and then my knees go up. I'm just recognizing that engagement to lift and keep them aligned. Release the chest down. Your knees are hip width apart, your feet are hip width apart. And long arms, palms pressing down. Inhale, just lift the hips slightly and roll bone by bone as you exhale. So imagine your spine is a sticker. And as you begin to inhale, lift the sacrum, lift the low back, lift the mid back, and I push into my shoulders. Then I'm putting the sticker back. I press into my upper back, into my mid back. There's a roundness, so my low back hits before my hips, and then I land. So very important. So usually when we lower, the booty comes first, and there's a hollow space in between your low back and your mat. Try not to allow that on the next round. So I press into my knees, into my heels. I lift the hips, upper, all the way into my shoulders. And I walk the elbows down, interlace the fingers, and get a little bit higher. Make sure that the shin is away from your chest. And the knees are not splitting open. And then release the bind and palms are pressing down. So take it slow, be mindful. Belly button is in for Uddiyana Bandha. Lower the upper back and hold. So your mid back and your low back are off the floor. Now I'm gonna lower my mid back and hold. I'm gonna tilt the tailbone in so I can lower first my lower back and then your hips down. Cross the right leg over the left one. Open the arms overhead on a T position or cactus position. And drop the knees to your right. Look to your left and shoulders presses down. And come back into center. And uncross and cross the other way. And drop the knees to your left. Look opposite and make sure your shoulders are down. And last breath in this twist. And come back into center. Release the feet. Bring the knees together, feet together, and arms are down on your mat, down next to your body, palms flat on the mat. And inhale, lift the legs up for Viparita Karani, or legs up to 90. and hold it here. We're gonna go to a baby shoulder stand. So what you guys are gonna do is that you're gonna make fist and you're gonna roll it slightly to your right so you can put your fist on the right buttocks and then the left one. So you can put your fist under the left one. So your hands, your fist are right on your sacrum on both sides. And your legs are slightly elevated from the floor. So only from your waist up, it's on the mat. And your chin is away from the chest. If you feel comfortable here and that you feel that you're not putting too much effort in holding, lift the hands, lift the legs slightly and bring the hands onto your mid back and lift up into a shoulder stand. The torso is tall and make sure that your head is flat on the mat, legs up to the sky. And once your legs up to the sky, bring awareness to your elbows and press the elbows down to lift the hips a little bit more towards your shoulders. But not the legs. The legs remain up towards the sky. Chin away from chest. And then see with control, so you don't slide them, but you slide lifting. So you know how you lift to bring the elbows closer together? Now lift to bring your elbows apart from each other. And lower the mid back to your mat. And lower the low back to your mat. And the legs are up to the sky in 90. From there, bring the soles of the feet together. So the soles of the feet are together and open the knees out to the sides. So imagine you're sitting down into a Baddha Konasana, but we're laying flat. And then close the knees, roll forward to seated. And from our seated position, we bring the soles of the feet together, but not close to each other, to the groin as we usually do, but away from you. So your heels are away from you and your feet are pressing together. The hands are gonna come underneath the legs and you're gonna wrap your feet on top of your feet and then round. So the crown of the head is going towards that space where your heels is. So round and drop. So you're like a little ball or like a little turtle. And then once you're there, sink the sternum, the bone in the middle of your chest, towards your shoulder blades so you can round a little bit more. And this is a great modification for your Kurmasana in Ashtanga. So if you notice, it's not too intense, but you're still doing the same actions. And then slowly lift, undo the hands, and sit up tall. Extend the legs in front of you, pressing the knees together, the toes together. Get taller and reach on the outside of your feet and release into a forward fold. And slowly look up and come back up to seated, crossing the legs, roll forward into a tabletop position. From your tabletop position, walk the hands closer to your knees. Bend the elbows back. So you imagine that you want to hug your waist with your elbows. And then drop the crown of the head to the floor. So when I do that, my arms remain in an angle. My elbows are pointing back next to my legs. And my hands are flat. I'm gonna roll up to my toes and lift the hips up to bring the knees right on top of my forearms. Maintain the stability there. Don't lift up to a full inversion, but what I want you to do is to push your hips a little bit more towards the shoulders. So you're engaging deeper. And then press firmly the knees slightly more towards your armpits. And look forward. Don't lift, just look forward if you can. Slowly, slowly, slowly. Slowly, slowly, slowly. And slowly release. And we go down into a soft child's pose. So the knees are slightly apart, but not too wide. So your rib cage has a place to support itself with your legs. And slowly begin to lift up. And we're gonna roll back into a seated position. Find a comfortable sit, whatever is comfortable for you. Get nice and long spine and your sit bones grounded firmly onto your mat. Hands are gonna be not on your legs, but on towards the mat. If they're floating, because we have short arms for whatever reason, just let them float. So let the shoulders be heavy. And just because sometimes when the arms are in the legs, we tend to lift the shoulders and allow them to stay up. So I want you today to let the arms rest next to your body. So you're pulling the shoulders. So it's the same action when we were standing at the beginning of class that you were reaching down. That's happening. And then think of your sit bones as the placement of your heels and push them down and get a little bit taller. And from there, close your eyes and begin to bring all the awareness to your root, to that place right at the bottom, right on the sacrum, and then get a little bit taller. And allow from that point to elevate the energy up towards your navel. And just think of a little circle going from the root to your navel, from the root to your navel. And visualize that motion of energy. And then that same motion that you're creating of energy from the root to the navel, begin to create a figure 8. So it crosses in the middle and then it comes. And it crosses in the middle and then it comes. And you're feeling that energy from the root to the navel. And then we're gonna stay right at the navel and hold it. And take a few deep breaths in that position, in that place, with all the energy gathered right at your navel. And allowing that place, with each exhalation, to release any emotions that causes any distress or any sadness. And feel and visualize that emotion dissolve with the vibration of your breath. And come back to the place right at the navel and begin to visualize a line from the navel to heart center. It's a straight line and then it begins to round. So it's creating again that little circle going from the navel to the heart center, rolling and rolling and round and round. And then stop at the navel and you begin to make your figure 8. So it crosses and it crosses. And visualize that figure 8. And stop right at heart center. And begin to feel that energy vibrate a little bit more right at heart center. And as it vibrates, it begins to heal any aches, anything that was negative created by a loved one, any pain for the loss of somebody, something that you loved. And again, with the vibration of your breath, begin to feel that emotion dissipate. And come back to the heart center. And begin to create that line from heart center to the throat. And begin to visualize the line going up and down, and then creating a circle as it rolls from heart center to the throat. And begin to imagine your figure 8 from heart center to the throat. And hold right at the throat. And from your throat, begin to feel the energy cleanse from so many things that you didn't say and you feel guilty or sad. For so many things that you have said that created sadness or anger in somebody else's. And allow the vibration of the breath dissipate those emotions. And come back to the throat and begin to find a line from the throat to your space in between your eyebrows. And it's going up and down, and then in a circle. In a figure 8. And hold right at the space in between your eyebrows. And begin to let go of images created by the imagination. things that we pretend to see in order to make either drama or create our own suffering. And with the vibration of the breath, dissipate that emotion, those images, those ideas. Coming back to the space in between the eyebrows. Begin to find a line from the eyebrows to the crown of the head, going up and down, up and down, up and down. Begin to create your figure, your circle, as it rolls. And it's rolling and rounding and round and round and round to a figure 8. And we hold right at the crown. And from the crown, bring your hands right in front of you, creating like a hollow space, like when you're going to drink water from a river or, something. And you put your hands to drink. Press them like that and let them rest on the front of your legs. And with the awareness on the crown, begin to allow the mind and the thoughts to expand into positivity, creating space for more kindness, showering yourself with love, allowing the blessings of the universe to be part of us. Allowing the beauty of nature to fill us up. Allowing your own beauty and your own divinity to come to the surface. And then gather all those precious gifts, and bring your hands, palms together to heart center. And you are welcome to remain seated, or you go ahead and set up for Shavasana. It's almost time for class to end, but if you wish, just stay in Shavasana, and I'll go ahead and close whenever it's time, the meeting for all of you, so you don't have to worry about closing, or if when you're ready, when I bring you up to come out, you do so. If you have the opportunity to remain in Shavasana for a few more minutes, go ahead and do so. Thank you so much for joining me for class today.